Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and of course, how to spend it. My name is Felix Schultz and I am with...
Andy Green. Not the greatest showman like you, Felix. How you going?
According to this one study, I'm in the top 5 showmen of 2021. I don't know. I got nothing to
You've
do.
made the
I'm
list.
doing all right. It's a lovely day. Lovely winter's day here. Very crisp.
It's not terrible. The sun is shining,
But I've got to
defrosting
admit,
everything outside.
I'm also a little bit jealous
Of what?
of you.
Oh,
Do you know why?
Is it to do with today's guest?
One of the many reasons. Also your jawline.
Oh, thank you.
Who's today's guest, Andy Green?
Edouard Meylan from Moser.
And you got on the phone without me talking about all sorts of fascinating Moser things, just how that fume happens.
Yeah, I asked when you were busy, and then we scheduled time around that.
Nice.
No,
Smart
we caught up probably closer to Watches and Wonder time to sort of go through the new releases that the brand dropped. So I think there's 3 or 4 of them from memory. And yeah, just sort of chatted to Edouard about, taking over the brand with such a big legacy and sort of some of the other exciting collaborations that they've worked on lately.
Yeah. Well, I've had a bit of a listen, and you chat about Collective, which is cool. That's a cool sort of, like an unexpected partnership, perhaps. Not sort of. Actually, they do a lot of unexpected partnerships because they've also got what's that guy? The French Second.
Yes. Yes. Well, we talk about that at the Eraser Watch.
Oh, cool. Well, let's not too many spoilers before we get into it. Is there anything else that we've been doing together?
Yes, we went to the opening of a new Tudor boutique here in Melbourne, Australia's first standalone Tudor boutique.
Can we just pause for a second and just think about how wild the concept of a standalone Tudor boutique is?
Yeah, that wouldn't have flown a few years ago. I was sort of mentioning to you on the night. There's just no way. Even probably 3 years ago that the kind of collection and the offering that they had would have really made a sustainable boutique in Australia at least.
Yeah, they've come a long way, haven't they?
They have, and that Black Bay collection is sort of what started as an outlier for the brand is now very much the core, which is great because it's the best collection they have.
Sure. And speaking of the Black Bay collection, the timing gods aligned so that they had a brand new watch to launch on the night, the old Black Bay 58 in bronze.
Yes, boutique only. So one spot in Australia to get it. They did have some for sale on the night. We turned one down. Thought we'd be responsible.
I like that you've gone with we.
Well, we both had the opportunity. I thought about it, and then
it's a nice watch though. We should talk about it in detail a bit down the track. Maybe get our hands on one. But you were most excited about that clasp, weren't you?
Yeah, the clasp was really interesting. Little adjustment, glide lock-esque, I should say. It's interesting. Anyway.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of chatter on the old Discord about it. There's a lot of people asking questions. I know some people that are looking to get it, so I'm sure that it's going to be a hot property for them. But what else have I been up to, Andy? I've been busy being a doofus, really. It's what I do. It's down here. It's in Australia. It's the end of the financial year, so I've been buying some stuff, Andy. There's some end of financial year tax write-offs.
Okay.
I've been buying. I don't know if you can tell from the quality of my audio, but I've got a new boom arm, and it's changed my life.
Cool. Well, reinvesting in the quality of the content for the listeners. I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Yeah. Have you been splurging on any deductibles?
Basically, the only things I buy are tax deductible. I got a new TV. So we'll deduct that. 75 inches, which is just ridiculously big.
Is that a work expense or is that?
Yep. Research.
Cool. When do I get to borrow it?
We'll have to get you one too. But I've got to watch Talking Watches.
Essential research.
Essential.
You got to watch those macro videos from Buck and Jack in 75 Inches of Glory.
Well, he's blowing up or shooting a fake Rolex Submariner. So yeah, definitely need to see that and see the cash.
Well, I guess now that we've talked about it on the podcast, it's true. We've got evidence. This week's episode is brought to you by Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer has given the Aquaracer a significant update this year. Let's find out a little bit about it.
Significant indeed. There is more to Tag Heuer than chronographs. Did you know that Tag Heuer has been making dive watches since 1978?
Really?
Really. And their journey into dive watches started with a model called the Reference 844, but we will get to that in a moment.
So Tag Heuer's given the Aquaracer some comprehensive updates this year. Andy, you've had a look, I've had a look, and from my point of view, I've got to say that the Aquaracer is looking better than ever.
I can agree. What specifically are we looking at in the update department here, Felix?
Okay, so the main thing is a slimmer, more refined case. There's chamfered sides that feel better on the wrist, and they have that nice, cool, reflective interplay of light element going on. The date Cyclops now sits underneath the crystal, and the dial has been slightly refined with updated indexes. The bracelet is another significant upgrade. There's improved ergonomics and a very nice sliding buckle that allows for up to 1.5 centimeters of on-the-go adjustment, which is perfect for a wetsuit. And with 300-meter water resistance, you could well wear with this watch with a wetsuit.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of new models, we've actually been treated to a bunch. In the 43mm size, there are black, blue, and silver versions, the latter having a glossy black ceramic bezel and matching hour surrounds for a really high contrast look. There are also smaller 36mm models with wavy dial patterns that are also available in blue, black, and silver. The blue one actually has 8 diamond hour markers for a bit of extra sparkle.
Nice. And these are just the regular core collection Aquaracers. There's 2 special new sort of releases that are doing things a little bit different, aren't there?
Yep, remember that Reference 844 that we talked about? Well, Tag Heuer have made a really nice vintage-inspired tribute with vintage-style loom, a red inner 24-hour scale, and a period-correct rally-style strap-in rubber. I've actually gone hands-on with this model and will link up some of my picks, but to put it as succinctly as possible, it's super cool and super limited.
Absolutely, I love it. My pick, though, is a little bit different. It's 43 millimeters, it's matte, it's lightweight titanium, and it's got a green dial with green ceramic bezel. It's really cool, but one detail that I really, really appreciated was the fact that the bezel ceramic had a radial brush, which I think is just quite sophisticated.
I have to agree. I think it's a pretty sophisticated package all round. And in terms of price, so the titanium one is 6,100 Aussie dollars. The limited edition is 6,300 Aussie dollars, while the steel 43mm models on the bracelet are 4,350, and of course those 36mm models, we can't forget about those. Those are 4,100 Aussie dollars.
Nice, Andy. That's a very tidy package.
Absolutely, Felix. To discover more about the new Tag Heuer Aquaracer, head to tagheuer.com or to your local Tag Heuer boutique.
Now, Andy, we're going to get back to the show. Hey, so something else that's been happening. I've had, let's be honest, nothing to do with it, but it's happening at the moment with one of my other roles over at Revolution. They have launched the Pink Dial project. I think it's formally called.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you remember, but last year they did a charity auction supporting COVID-19
Yep.
things. This time they're doing it again. And as you might have guessed from the pink theme, they're doing it to support breast cancer charities. It's they've partnered with a bunch of people, including our friends at Time and Tide, Fratello, I Have Jewelry, and Eric Koo's Loop This platform, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he's hosting it, right?
Yeah, so Loop This it's his new sort of commercial auction platform or sales platform.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sort of hosting it. It's a bunch of unique watches with pink dials. Like, so there's Tag Heuer, there's IWC. They've managed to get one of the Max Buser, that sort of friend watch he did a couple of weeks ago. So it's not an MB&F. It's their sort of that only friends and fans can get a hands on it. And they've got some other cool stuff coming out of the pipeline. I think they've got Zenith and other exciting, unique options being auctioned for charity in October. So we'll have to
Fantastic.
keep our eyes open for that. Maybe get Way on and he can talk through the lots and just how it all happened. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, not much else, watching TV and shopping for bronze Tudors, but I did
Nice.
notice I was reading an article on Uncracked,
Sure.
which I found quite interesting. The are you across cabin porn?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. I mean, it was basically a coffee table book and a website from like a little while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So very, very. I think from like 6 or 7 years ago.
At least I think it was
Yeah.
peak
So
hipster
it's
time.
done very well. Look, it's still relevant. Still
Okay.
relevant. But the founder of Cabin Porn, Zach Klein, is selling his cabin.
Hey, quick disclaimer. If you've not heard of cabin porn, it's It's not what it might sound like. It's just nice photos of houses in the woods, right? Right? Are we talking about the same website?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So anyway, Mr. Klein is selling his Beaverbrook cabin, which has
Sure.
50 acres. It's a 4-bedder, 3-bath, 3,600 square footer,
Is that a
and it
cabin?
is going for. It's a cabin. Yeah. I'll send you some pictures, but it is. It's a cabin. It's very much a cabin. It's just
It's a
a very
big
nice,
cabin.
luxurious cabin. It's like an outdoor sort of hot tub. It's all. It's very woody. Some lovely views. It's very isolated. In fact, it looks they're kind of pitching it as a quiet place, and yeah, Sotheby's International are selling it. So loosely, loosely relevant here, but it looks very cool. I would buy it if I had to spare $2 million.
Oh, are you trying to gear that this is a OT office for tax reasons?
I mean, look,
Is that where we're
being
working
two
with
hours
this?
north of New York City might be beneficial to us.
Yeah, I mean, think of the guests we could get access to.
Yeah,
Robert
in
De
in
Niro.
real time. We might have to relocate.
Sure, makes sense. Anything else?
Nah, that's it. We should probably get Edouard on the phone.
Yeah, nice.
Today on the line we have one of my favorite independent brands, the brand CEO Edouard Meylan from Moser. Edouard, how are you going?
I'm doing very well, Andy. And you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. It's been an exciting few weeks with Watches and Wonders and all the the new releases that we've seen kind of coming out of Switzerland and I guess the rest of the world really, albeit a little bit different digitally. What I wanted to hit you with the first question is sort of who are you and what do you do?
So as you mentioned, I am the CEO and also owner of H. Moser and Company, an independent brand, 193 years old brand based in Schaffhausen. And yeah, I run this brand now for 8 years. I work with my brother, who's based
Mm-hmm.
in Dubai and manage a few markets. But yeah, it's a family business.
Tell us a bit about the brand. It's independent, as I mentioned. Just sort of last check, it was producing maybe 2,000-3,000 watches a year, if that. What does Moser stand for? Why should someone buy Moser?
Well, not yet at 2 or 3,000 watches, but that's definitely an objective. A little
Mm-hmm.
bit below that, but yeah, we should be there very, very soon, next couple of years. But no, we are, as I said, a 193 years old brand, an amazing history here in Schaffhausen. Thanks to our founder, Heinrich Moser, created the brand in 1828. We were a brand based out of Schaffhausen because they were the watchmakers of the canton of the city of Schaffhausen. The Moser family contributed to really develop this region. They industrialized it. They brought IWC here in Schaffhausen. It's an amazing history that ran from 1828 until 1980, more or less, where the quartz crisis hit the brand quite hard. It was one of the most successful in the 20th century, but unfortunately, going through all those big crises, eventually the one with the quartz, I think, killed the brand. We don't have any watches in our museum here from the 1980s. But then in 2002, the great grandson of Heinrich Moser, together with a few entrepreneurs, they relaunched the brand. They built the manufacturer. They developed the brand, but faced some financial issues. They looked for people to help them, and we came with my family. I mean, I'm also a fifth generation watchmaker. I'm not a trained watchmaker, but we were in watchmaking for 5 generations. And then yeah, we took over. I run it since 2013, and today we have. It's quite fast growing small brand. We have about 70 people. We just hired 10
Yep.
more people. The demand is so high at the moment. We're very integrated. We produce all our movements. We develop them, sometimes with external help of friends. And we even produce our own hairsprings for ourselves and for many other brands. So in a nutshell, that's what we are. And then we try to be, I would say, to stay true to our traditional, elegant, classic heritage.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of understatement. We're here on the border to Germany, so there's a little bit of this, engineering understatement, typical to German engineering. But at the same time, we try to be modern. We stay tuned with what's happening. We try to push the boundaries of watchmaking, treating pretty much every watch as a piece of art.
Yeah, fantastic. What was it like sort of taking over an existing brand, that had, almost a museum of timepieces and then sort of bringing your own vision into it? I understand that sort of that the Moser family sort of stay involved to some extent when you first
Yeah.
purchased the brand, but what was that like sort of trying to bring in your own vision?
think it was quite intimidating. I think when you arrive and you're quite young, and you want to show that you can do it. Everybody was like, "Oh, okay, he's getting the job because his father bought the company."
Yeah.
So yeah, in the beginning, a lot of questions, trying to find a vision, an idea. I mean, we took the decision to buy Moser in a few weeks, if not maybe a couple of months, and
Yep.
it doesn't give you the time going through a due diligence and in identifying the problems. That's the easy part. Solving them is complicated, but then finding an evolution of the philosophy, the vision, the identity of the brand was the tough part. So I think the big challenge for me was to get over the first perception of what we
Yep.
have to solve, create the base, and then build something that would be strong enough to grow for years. And yeah, that was not easy.
Yeah, I can't imagine it was. When you first took over the brand, you obviously had a vision. How has it changed in sort of, I guess it's nearly been a decade since you've been running it. Has it changed at all?
Cheers. Yeah, but as I tried to say before, I think when I started,
Hmm.
I knew what the problems were, and from a
Yep.
quality standpoint, efficiency. We knew the brand was a little bit dusty from an image standpoint. So I wanted definitely. I mean, my first idea was really like, okay, let's make sure the base is strong. So the base for me is really like production, quality,
Hmm.
reliability, efficiency, because you need to sell product where you generate a little bit of margin to make this thing work. That was a big issue
Hmm.
in the past. And then I wanted to bring a little bit of my touch without destroying everything that my predecessors had done. They have created amazing products that I think a lot of brands would dream of,
Hmm.
amazing movements. But at the same time, I wanted to bring a little bit of what we are, working, as I said, with my brother and a very young team, to bring a little bit of this modern touch, a little bit more dynamic. But at that time, I didn't know how. And then you try things. I think that's the beauty of being independent and entrepreneur, is you have this freedom of trying things. And we tried materials, we tried colors, we tried minimalism, we tried many things, and some failed and some succeeded, where we felt, oh, that might be us. And eventually you kind of find this vision. So when you ask me what was your vision 8 years ago, I don't think I
Hmm.
had a vision at that point. I was more like trying to figure out that vision. And then
Hmm.
I would say maybe 2 years later, that vision got pretty clear. And then it took a few years to slowly, and it's still going on, to implement it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, when I think of H Moser, I think it's one of the more refreshing independent brands out there. From the materials to the dial to the dial, sorry, to the marketing, and you guys certainly do things a little bit differently. If I think recently, you did a limited edition for Collective Horology, the sort of the watch group. So my question to you is, being a smaller team, running it with your brother. Well, how and when did you realize this sort of community engagement would be so important to brand building?
I think it came naturally. People
Hmm.
love to engage in general. I think we were quite early on a lot of social media. We were not afraid of sharing our contact details to be in touch through, sometimes WhatsApp, sometimes email with the
Hmm.
community. And then you get this way, of course, you get the complaints, but you get a lot of ideas and inspiration and feedback. And I think we were quite early in that. But also we saw the success of other brands, like what Jean-Claude Biver has done with Hublot or Richard Mille. These are people who are connected to their community, to their fans, at least in the beginning while they were small. And we felt, this. I mean, we are a family business. I met so many people who are my friends today because we connected through watches.
Hmm.
There must be something in that. So it kind of came naturally. And then I think we started hiring people who understood that, who felt part of, or who wanted also to or feel comfortable to actually talk to people, engage with people, and passionate enough to express their ideas, their opinions. I mean, we give full freedom to all our um, colleagues to really, take responsibility and answering any questions they would get. And suddenly you create that kind of culture. But
Yeah.
again, I don't think it was planned. I think we saw what was working for others, and at the same time, we liked that, and then it became natural.
Definitely, definitely, and I mean, being the size that you are, and sort of having sort of that young leadership certainly helps, and it means you can be
Definitely.
fast and nimble, and if I think of Moser, I think of cheekiness and bold moves as well. And sort of, we were talking about before, every year there's sort of a theme that you pick to play a little prank on the watch world. And, sometimes people get it and sometimes they don't. When when and why did you sort of start to play these pranks? The Swiss cheese watch, the icons, the Apple
I don't
Watch.
like to say pranks to be honest, because for us they're serious matters. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
we address them with humor and provocation, but I'm not sure if prank is the right word, because when we do the Swiss Mad Watch, so the cheese
Mhm.
watch, we wanted to talk about what is Swiss made, how
Yep.
relevant is it for us, how relevant is it for our industry, how could we improve it. So I think it was more of a symbolism and an
Mhm.
art of communication that is quite, I would say, modern, where if I make a letter and just say, I don't think the Swiss made regulations right now apply to us and are the right way for the Swiss watch traditional industry, nobody's going to talk about it. Yet
Yep.
if I do the same message, but I create a watch made of cheese next to that, everybody's like, oh, you have to look at it. Oh, listen to that. So some people might simplify it and saying one brand was crazy enough to make a cheese watch, and that's all you hear about. And some others
Yep.
understand it and express the message. So we didn't try to prank. I think we tried to communicate with our own way this important message. And that started, I think, with the Swiss Alp Watch. That's the first
Mhm.
time we did something a little bit provocative in saying, listen, everybody, it was everyone, every single journalist, every single retailer coming to us back in 2014, 15 would talk about connected watches and how it would
Yeah.
destroy the Swiss watch industry, and asking what would be our reaction and whether or not we were working on a connected watch for Moser. And I said, well, I need to express my opinion on it. And again, the best way to do it is to create a symbolic product that really says this without words what we stand for. And we created the Swiss Alp Watch, which is inspired by connected watches, yet 100% mechanical. Even
Mhm.
more than that, it's traditional, hand wound, really like the kind of almost old-fashioned art of watchmaking. And with that particular model, everybody understood the stand of Moser, and in a way, it became also the kind of a symbol of traditional watchmaking reaction to connected watches. And we gained so much from that. And again, some people just look at us and say, "Oh, this is the troll brand who copied connected watches." I mean, that's fine. They know us now. But at the same time, way more people actually understood what we were trying to communicate with that symbolic product.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the troll brand is certainly not the right language. I think the way that you
Well, your
communicate and
English is
get
better than
the
mine, but I think when I think of prank, I think it's kind of
yeah,
very cheeky and not always with a meaning. And I think for me, it's very important to understand that when we do those things, there's a meaning behind it.
yeah,
You might like it or not, you might understand it or not, but deep inside us, we try to communicate something, and that's important to us.
I guess it's such a polarizing take on communication that such a traditional industry isn't used to, and that's why it has so much cut through, and that's why they've been so successful for you, right? Because no one's ever sort of taken this stance on communication.
Yes, well, in our industry,
Yeah,
probably,
in
but
our industry.
it feels like it's changing. I mean, look at
Yeah.
this last few days. Some are being polarizing as well. I mean, not always for the best, but it's interesting how people try also to try new things. Well, good luck to them.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That's what I find really interesting is the ability that Moser has to really execute on these ideas. And a lot of people have probably had these ideas in the past to do this or do that to really make a statement and have been too scared to do it, or they've taken it too far and really missed the mark. And for the most part, I think you guys do really well. So I think that's quite commendable, and you definitely get the industry talking. And for a small brand with a much smaller marketing budget, I think that's really awesome. The Swiss Alp Watch, from what I also understand, has been quite a commercial success, which is I think almost a beautiful irony as well.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, look at the last one we released. I mean, we decided to discontinue.
Yeah.
Again, I think the beauty of this market is because we're small, we see also the prices of our product growing and growing in the
Mm.
secondary market. And we felt the Swiss Alp Watch, again, it's a symbol, it's a message. At some point, we don't need to send that message again. So we had the choice between producing more movement, developing new movements, or stopping it. I
Yeah.
think the beauty of it is to be able to say, no, we stop. and we protect the value. We do the final upgrade. It's gonna be a hit. We didn't expect to be such a hit. Like, we had so many requests. It was
Sold out really quickly,
completely,
right?
yeah, incredible. I mean, incredible. I mean, we didn't even keep any for our own e-commerce, and I think we had 500 people reserving it on our
Wow.
e-commerce, and they were limited to 50. Every retailer was asking for more. Completely insane. I know that some have been sold double the price on the secondary
Wow.
market already. It is it's crazy, but that's good. I mean, that's good. We are there to protect. I mean, we are a family business. I want to
Yeah.
continue to grow, but I want to protect my brand and build brand equity. I think that's the key aspect of what we do, is not just to sell watches. We're actually building a brand for the long term, so that people have protected jobs, and that maybe the next generation, my kids or something, can take it over and drive it further, or somebody else for that sake. But for that, you need to have a long-term vision and not just look at, oh, what are going to be the numbers at the end of the quarter, or the
Yeah.
semester, or the year. We don't care
Quick
about
cash
that.
grab.
We don't
Yeah.
care about that. We want to build brand equity. And I think that's the success of Moser in the last couple of years. And the acceleration we feel now
Yep.
is linked to that philosophy. And that's why we see the most successful brands today are independent brands, much bigger than us, but we are, catching up.
Independent nonetheless. I think it's a really interesting point, touching on the final update. That was, definitely released and I imagine, it was being produced and manufactured at, at the height of the pandemic. What has it been like, before we get into the new releases? It doesn't sound like that was expected in terms of popularity, but how have you focused on sort of growing that brand during the last sort of 12 to 18 months during this pandemic that we're all living through?
I think you said it. I mean, you, as a small brand, you are, I would say, agile. You're reactive. Taking over this brand in 2012, facing a lot of adversity from the market, from just the reality of the business, how it was structured here, made us become extremely agile. I have people that, my team, they never see problems. They always come up with options or solutions, which is very, very, very good. I think in the past, many people left our company because they were like, oh yeah, but before we used to do it this way or like that. And now we have managed to build a culture of people who bring ideas and who always look for solutions. So 2020, when we got hit by the pandemic, not only we were already extremely digitalized, because as an independent brand you have no choice, but I think we have very digital savvy team. But also we could react very fast. We implemented in our e-commerce in 2 weeks, selling our first 2 billion online 3 days after implementation. We got developed a concierge service system for all our partners, but also our customers, in a matter of days. We got even more engaged. We continue to launch our products. Maybe postponing a little bit, but we did that as usual when nobody else was launching. So it increased even more our visibility, and that's what contributed to an amazing year in 2020. And this acceleration we continue to feel today is probably linked to that. I think being ready for the unexpected is the one of the strongest property or characteristics of very entrepreneurial brands. It's a chance to be small, probably, in those situations, providing you can take the right decisions. Because the problem is, if you don't have as much cash as the bigger brands to go through the low tide. You need to find ways to survive. For us, it's been, again, the best year ever, and this year 2021 will be by far the best year for Moser. People are working every weekend. We're hiring 15% more people right now to increase our capacity, because the demand is just crazy.
Well, let's talk about the new releases for sort of 2021. The first piece that I want to talk about is the Endeavour Centre Seconds collaboration with Second. So that was 20 pieces. I believe they're all gone, with a little bit of a different take on the dial.
Yeah. So that's a collaboration. I mean, you mentioned before the Swiss Alp Watch, the Swiss Mad Watch,
Yeah.
the Swiss Icon Watch, the Moser Nature Watch. So for every fair, we try to have a topic we want to talk about. This year, we
Yep.
wanted to talk about branding and how we consider branding to be, I would say, almost old-fashioned in the sense of putting logos everywhere. I think Moser has been a bit of a precursor in trying to treat really watches as art pieces and signing on the back or on the crown, or being very subtle. Look at the concepts we launched a few years ago. So when I discovered Second and his work, I invited him because it was like all artists, he didn't have much cash, but I liked what he did, so I invited him to Basel World. I think 3 years ago, to
Oh yeah.
just sit on our booth and just use our infrastructure to meet customers and media, etc.
Yep.
But then we started talking about his art, and I liked a lot of the messages, the things he did with his pixelized hands, and but he was playing with Rolex, with Patek, with a lot of major brands,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
said, I know we're not there, we're not one of them, but I would love to see your take on our brand, on our philosophy. And he came up with this idea of this thought, the way we seek for perfect minimalism, essence of a function. How we, as I said before, every dial is a canvas for us. The watch is an art piece. And his take was really like, in this process, it's a lot about trying, erasing, starting again. And that's how he came up with the idea of using this eraser remember it from my childhood, from student
Yeah.
years. And I just loved it. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, what do you mean let's do it? He said, yeah, let's make a series, let's make a collab, and then you get hopefully you'll get better known, and we'll express our philosophy, and let's make it the keynote of our Watches and Wonders Digital 2021. And we launched it on the 1st of April because that's fun. There's no reason for that. It's just, I would love to have a tradition when on the 1st of April we launch something where everybody's like, is that a joke or is that actually real?
Okay, when I said prank
I think
before,
we
this
did
is
that.
this is why, because I saw it and I'm looking at the hour hand and it looked photoshopped, and then I'm starting to see people posting pictures with this watch on their wrists, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they've made one, they've just swapped a dial and the hour hand out, and then I see more, and then I see five or six different people all posting at the same time, and I realized that it's done, and I saw that it was sold out.
Yeah, but that's fun. I mean, just the fact that people ask themselves, like,
Yeah,
is it real or is it an April Fool? That starts a discussion already, and they're talking
yeah,
about it. And then people say, oh, it's actually real because they want to express this. And
yeah.
again, it's like the cheese watch. It's like the Swiss Alp. Some we always see it as, how dumb is it to put this kind of weird hand on this watch? And some others we said, I love the idea behind it. And
That's
if
very
a
cool.
fraction of the people understand that, then we win.
Well, it's sold out, so it doesn't matter. All right, so the next even fresher release is a Pioneer Center Seconds Mega Cool. So this is the steel piece.
Mega cool, yeah.
Mega Cool. Who named it?
So the story is, again, last year, middle of the lockdown
Uh-huh.
here in Switzerland, we said, listen, there's going to be an end to this. So
Yeah.
when it comes to an end, we need to have the watch that we all want to wear to go to the beach, to go and have a beer with our friends, to socialize again. And then we said, okay, the code name for this project is Mega Cool, because that's the expression in Swiss German, Mega Cool. Yet when we assembled after the design and everything, and the first watchmaker assembled it, his reaction, actually not knowing the code name, he said, "Whoa, this one is mega cool." So he said, "Yeah, that has to be the name." So everybody's like, it's probably the worst name ever for a luxury product, but I think it's fun, and that's what we like at Moser. We're having fun just naming it like this, and I hope people will have people going to stores and saying, "Hey, do you have the mega cool or this mega cool watch?" Again, makes us laugh. And I like to have those catchy words in a way. I mean, we consider every watch to be kind of a story or
Yeah.
expressing something, and I think the name is part of it. It's like you name your kids. And yeah, it's a cool watch. I mean, you have this beautiful blue lagoon. I mean, you have this beautiful blue lagoon dial, which is probably
Yeah.
one of the most summer type of dials we have ever done. And then this transparent logo, which is for me really, really an important element of what Moser is and what Moser stands for. It's very subtle branding. It's there without being there, and it doesn't disturb you. Yeah, I feel you're really wearing a very comfortable everyday kind of art piece in a way.
Yeah, with a lovely strap. So you also did this in a tourbillon. So we were saying luxury before. We've stepped it up, so it's also available with an open tourbillon on the dial.
Yeah, mega
Which
cool with the
looks
tourbillon, but we also have the Endeavor tourbillon with the stone dials.
yes, and so those were the final two releases. So you've done two stones,
Yeah,
Ox's Eye.
it's the same family actually. It's the
Yeah.
Tiger's Eye, but Tiger's Eye is semi-precious stone
Uh-huh.
that transforms over time. There's an apparition of silica in the its fibers inside, so it creates those iridescent effects, and the transformation in the oxidation makes it yellow, blue, and red.
Oh
I
wow.
think there's
Okay.
even a green. but it's actually the same stone, but it's beautiful. My question was really like, how do we make a dial that is kind of the Moser style? You know, how dynamic our blue or green or red dials are.
Yep.
The fume dials. So I thought, if they were natural, what kind of stone would it be? Natural stone. And that's where I started playing with the tiger's eye. And I wanted, this is very vintage type of stones, but here in our Endeavour case, with no branding, no indexes, nothing on it, it's very modern. And frankly, I just love the result. I am so excited about that product.
Yeah, and the size as well. So sort of nice 40mm case is again more of a modern size.
Yeah, it's very elegant on any wrist. It's a beautiful watch.
Were there any other sort of stones or materials you looked at before tiger's eye?
Well, we did malachite because Moser did a lot of objects in malachite, and we did that last year for Dubai. It was a huge success. It was not as vibrant as these colors of dial, but this green is beautiful. We are working on many other stones, but very different. I mean, anything from jade to lapis lazuli. We're exploring more stones, but I think this one is really the Moser stone in a way.
Fantastic. And is this all we can expect from Moser in 2021, or have you got a few releases still?
What do you think?
I think there's probably going to be something in September.
There's going to be a couple more, yeah. I mean, we have four pillars. We have the Pioneer, so you saw the new release. We have the Endeavour, you saw the new release. But we also have Heritage and Streamliner.
The Streamliner, yeah.
So you can expect one novelty for each.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's going to be an exciting year by the sounds of things.
Yeah, it's going to be mega cool.
Mega cool. All right. Well, last question before I let you get on to your next meeting. Every time we have someone on OT, we ask them for recommendations. So something they've been listening to, reading, watching, or just enjoying that they think our audience might also enjoy partaking in. Do you have anything for me?
In terms of product or in terms of
anything at all you've been enjoying? Doesn't have to be watch related.
Right now, the big thing I think with my family is mountain biking. We just love to go. My son just got his full suspension and jumping around. So that's the big fun at the moment when we have time.
Getting out into
There's
nature.
Not only watches out there, but if it's about watches, then come to the Moser website or talk to me or my team. Ollie Watch. Ask Ollie is our watch expert is always available to answer any question at any time. So feel free.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always to chat, and hopefully I can kind of catch up with you. Maybe next.
Thank you, Andy. My pleasure as well. Hope it was interesting for all of you.
What a chat, Andy. I am unhappy that I missed it. Cool stories. Great to learn about how they ended up with Moser. That's wild.
Yeah, it's a really cool story. It's really cool to chat to the founder. It's very much a brand where you can kind of reach out and kind of speak directly to the people involved, which I think is part of the Moser charm. So thank you for coming on. I think I think we need to kind of hearing more about that collective horology, LE. I think we need to get those guys on too, Gabe and Asher.
Sounds like a plan, Andy. Let's reach out. But we do need to thank some other people. We need to thank our sponsor for this week, the wonderful and avant-garde Tag Heuer. And, be sure to check out the Aqua Racer. It's a lovely piece of kit. Thank you to our listeners.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for everyone emailing us, otthepodcast@gmail.com, and to all our Instagram followers, ot.podcast. If you want to chat with Felix and I, join our Discord. There will be a link in the show notes, and there's a link in our bio on Insta as well.
Nice.
Felix, if you like OT, what do you do?
You promote it however you can in a viral or non-viral way. Subscribe, tell your friends, share what you like about it. Get in touch, leave comments. I don't know.
Streak with OT the podcast and the chat.
Graffiti. It might be illegal, but look, we're not going to tell if you don't. And of course, reviews on your preferred platform. iTunes is always a solid one. 5 stars, 4.5. You're salty, but yeah. That's a great thing to do. It really helps us out.
See you next time, guys.